So, Mark, did you see the pictures of the Las Vegas Park, that horse racing track that existed just off the strip in the 1950s? Cost $4 million to build, and they only used it for a couple of years. It looks really high quality, and it must have just been sitting in the middle of a bunch of dirt.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to have there now. Like, I think that would be something fun to go to. I know horse racing is struggling, and a lot of smaller venues are closing right and left. But would have been cool. I don't know, but when you say $4 million lasts a couple years, only did a couple races, you just have to kind of think mafia money laundering, right?
I don't know. I just think people didn't want to watch horse races in the middle of the desert. Remember, this is Vegas that wasn't built up, so it would have just been desert for miles in every direction.
Vegas could have been in the Seabiscuit movie. You never know. It could have worked out.
One of the quieter names in the residency game is Shania Twain. She's been doing her thing for years and years and years over at Planet Hollywood. And she finally announced that she's done. She's leaving her residency there, but she announced a bunch of new dates, which are on sale for January and February of next year. And then she will go away. What's interesting is that the theater is now called PH. What?
And then
go away?
She will go away.
What's interesting is the theater is now known as PH Live, but before it was the Back to Theater, the Zappos Theater, Access, the Planet Hollywood Theater, and then for those old timers, the Performing Arts Theater at Aladdin, or I forget the original name of that, but that dates all the way back to the original Aladdin, and Caesars doesn't have current naming rights for anybody. Somebody needs to take this opportunity.
I'm still laughing about it, and then she goes away. But yeah, it's interesting that she's wrapping it up on the Super Bowl weekend. Either that's genius or kind of a terrible, setup. It just seems like a weird weekend to be ending it on. I know it's busy there every time, but it doesn't seem like Shania Twain fans would be in the area. But maybe this is like the perfect sales pitch. Like, hey, hun, I want to go to Vegas and watch the Super Bowl and make some bets. I don't want to go. Well, what if we go to Shania Twain the night before? There you go. There's your sales pitch right there.
Perfect things. Shania Twain, awesome. 25 years since that original album, or that big album where she became a star. I think we all know those songs, so it's crazy. It's been 25 years. Wishing her the best. So speaking of going away, there's this new drone video of Tropicana that came out, and it's 5 minutes long, so we're not going to show all of it, but you can see in depth in the site, and I'll put a link down in the description. Gives you some looks that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I know you love your drone videos almost as much as carpet, so anytime we get to show one, it doesn't look like there's going to be much left to blow up, just a couple towers. So I don't know if the shows and all that are going to be as fun as initially expected, but man, they really did some quick work of that lot.
Yeah, they stripped it down to the bones. But if you want to see the implosion, one of the more unique things, Foundation Room is doing a viewing party. $50 gets you in, doesn't include food or drink or anything, just to sort of get you in there. I wonder how much space they'll have on that patio once they fill the place up. Are you even going to be able to see it if you don't hang out on the patio there? But I think the best part of this is the artwork that they have for the event. It's so cool.
Yeah, I think, this is a great idea on there. We talked about Oyo and having their little thing set up for the demolition. And I think this is another good one. I'm surprised Skyfall doesn't have something similar set up. I don't know. Is Foundation Room still super popular? I know it was back in the 21 movie days and all of that when it first kicked off, but I don't know that people go up there as much anymore.
I haven't been up there in a while. It used to be the hot membership in town. All the cool people hung out there. They had their memberships. They were swanky. So I don't really know how well it's doing now, but it's been there forever. So I imagine pretty good. Great views. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some more unique stuff. Room rates are still high because of all the conventions. So not a great time for just regular people who want to come in and see it. But if you like drone videos, there's another one coming up later in the show. So don't get...
oh boy.
So get
teasing
excited.
Drones.
So Bally's is back in Vegas, and I don't mean the Horseshoe, and I don't mean the Tropicana, which we talked about being torn down, but they don't own a casino here anymore, so they decided to partner with the Palms in a weird way. They say maybe down the line they're going to do a more extensive partnership, but for now it's just Bally's Rewards members having a way to redeem points or get experiences at the Palms. So travel to Vegas, this is your place for Bally's Rewards members. So I guess it makes sense considering Bally's is now gone.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I don't know if maybe Palms is thinking, Bally's gamblers at their other casinos that they have, maybe this will drive them to the Palms when they come to Vegas and gives you, Bally's people can interact there a little bit more. And maybe, Bally's is thinking, hey, if you're a gambler at the Palms, maybe we can get you to come to some of our Bally's places elsewhere, like a partnership in that way. It still seems kind of weird. Bally's isn't the best company and nobody's falling over themselves for their rewards program. So strange, but we'll have to see what comes of it and if anything unique happens.
And this isn't really anything new for regional casino operators. For example, in Atlantic City, where Bally's operates, Ocean has a partnership with Wynn. Last year it was Resorts World. The year before that it was Wynn. But they have these partnerships where they, try to give that Vegas destination for their members. So that makes sense. And I guess it's a good way for Bally's to keep their name alive in the news. Since does anybody care that they're gone as a company from Vegas?
No, because there's not going to be a baseball stadium or a Bally's, so no one cares.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Lots of shade thrown at Bally's, plus tons of other stuff. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So it must be sportsbook season, because last show we talked about the Suncoast new sportsbook, which we have a better view of in a second. But Palace Station also opened their brand new sportsbook, which has similar vibes to the ones we've seen at Sunset Station at Durango. It's not as open or as tall as those venues, but with what they had to work with, it does feel very modern. Big screens, lots of seating. Very nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. Funny enough, Palace Station was the place I was going to originally stay at my first trip when we came out. When we were going to come out, a group of buddies when we turned 21. It was between that and the Strat. Those were the two places you could get for like $60 a night. That trip ended up falling through, but I always have that memory of Palace Station, even though it didn't lead to anything. I think the sports book looks pretty nice. You talked about this in the last episode about the ceilings that you have to deal with. That's why a lot of people are using certain venues, theaters, and stuff like that have taller ceilings. If you're stuck with lower ceilings, it's tough to really get that all-encompassing feel. It doesn't have like the wraparound TV effect or anything. So I think they did well with what they had to work with, but it doesn't compare to the other ones that we've seen the last couple of years.
Some of us remember Palace Station as being the bingo palace back in the day. And by some of us, I don't mean me, because that's before my time. But Palace Station, the original station casino. And of course, they expanded it, renovated it, I would say, a few years ago. I don't really love it. It's very cramped in certain areas. It's funny because I grew up going there all the time. So my dad used to love eating there, and we used to go there all the time. But probably my least favorite of the station casinos properties. But I do think this looks good.
Are we going to ignore what everybody knows the Palace Station? Because OJ?
OJ? And speaking of drone videos and sportsbooks, let's go up to Suncoast again. We got a much better look at the sportsbook there via drone video that they released, and it looks as good as we thought in the pictures. A great venue there, and I love this new sportsbook design language we're seeing everywhere, as I've said ad nauseum.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think we've even seen people comment like, where can I go watch a game on the NFL weekends and stuff in college football? And everything on the strip is minimums, or you got to pay a fee. Like, it's impossible to get seating. You can't just kind of grab a chair like you used to be. And maybe if you go to these off-strip local places, you can get a better deal, or maybe you don't even need to pay anything. So definitely look into that if you're looking for a weekend game. This one looks amazing. Maybe it's not as popular as Durango, so you can get a spot.
Yeah, I think it will be popular up there, so good on them at Suncoast. So moving to the Sphere, and the U2 movie started with previews this week. Carrie Bilicki was there. She did say that ticket sales were soft. I don't know what her sources are on that, but maybe not doing as well as they had hoped. But then she posted some videos from inside of there, and I could not tell the band was not on stage. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but it looked to me like it was real.
I expected it just to be on the screens, but it's almost like holograms and all this different stuff. So maybe they had tech that we didn't even realize was a thing, but I mean, we've talked about how this is a good idea. I'm not surprised that sales would be soft. I don't think anybody's going to like pre-buy or come out for this. I think it's kind of a, hey, we're in town. Do you want to do that thing at the Sphere? Watch U2. I think it'd be cool. I mean, I wouldn't buy anything ahead of time, especially for a movie. I kind of just see how my day goes and go from there. So I could see a lot of last minute, day before type of purchases there. And interesting that it's only, the center seating areas. They're not doing the outside stuff. So less seating than you would see for a concert and everything. So maybe a little bit more intimate, even though it's not real.
And some other things they're able to do that they couldn't do during the concert is they show at one point the perspective of the band from stage looking out at the Sphere, so projected on the screen. So you get a bit of a different perspective. I really want to see this now to kind of see how it compares. It really wasn't something that I was excited about until I saw the videos, and I'm like, wow, you really can't tell that the band is there, maybe in person, but Carrie says it looks great. So thanks to her for always being out and about and showing us that. So a quick update to the Venetian Mystery Project. That's the one that was happening on the Strip. We've seen construction there for a couple months now, and I predicted that it was screens, and I was right. Screens everywhere.
Can we do anything else? I don't know. It just seems like every dollar of construction goes into screens in Vegas. It's driving me nuts.
Hey, that's the name of the game. We have to follow trends. Venetian doesn't have nearly as many screens as some of the properties on the south end of the strip. They got to keep up.
I guess. I mean, I'd love to see them, finish the rooms and all that stuff that they have been sitting out there forever. But I guess this is some type of progress. Another thing to look at as you're stuck in traffic on the boulevard.
So let's talk food for a minute. And this birria beef and cheese taco, $60. This is at La Neta Cocina. And they have this beef rib that they put inside this taco. They serve it at your table. They pull the rib out. That is showmanship. $60 seems like a lot for this, but it looks delicious.
Yeah, what do you think? Like 25 of it is pulling the bone out? Is that the markup you think, I would say?
At
I
least.
think it's like yeah, I would say it's like a $20, $25 taco. It looks great. And just the fact that they bring out the bone. At first, I'm seeing it. I'm like, how's anybody supposed to eat this? Are they going to use like a fork and knife? And then you show them sliding it out. I'm like, okay, so we just paid $30 for that? I don't know.
But it's slick, and thanks, Las Vegas Phil does a great job. He did this video. It is encrusted in cheese. That has to be expensive, right? To have a cheese crust on it. But I mean, when they cut into it, it looks great. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting, I wanted something gimmicky or whatever. It looks great. And I think it's satisfying to have them pull the bone out.
Yeah, I think if you're really into tacos or just this type of thing, it kind of fits the spot where you don't have to spend $1,000 to look at a briefcase. Like this is the everyman version of that, I guess. I don't know. A $60 taco is the everyman.
All right. So let's talk bars for a second, and downtown, specifically the Arts District and the Stray Pirate. This is another one of these cool experiential bars. I guess I would consider this a tiki bar. Kind of feels tiki-ish with its menu and everything else. The most exciting part of the menu, Mark, PBR non-alcoholic beer. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of it either, but I'm sure it's been out there for a while. This place looks awesome. I want to talk about it in the after show in Patreon a little bit more about Arts District and just like how cool it is to have that. I mean, every city has something like that, but it's usually not like slab dab in the middle of two separate tourist attraction areas. So it's kind of cool that it kind of fits into everything that you want to do when you're in Vegas. And if you haven't been out that way, definitely go check it out. And I want to check out this place. We should just bar hop 20 bars in Arts District. There we go.
Yeah, I want to too. I had heard of this at some point. I don't remember when I saw it. Josh and Rachel tweeted out from there, and hopefully they'll have a video coming up. I'm sure they will, going inside and everything. But they spent a lot of money on it. It envelops you. It's everything you would want in this tiki sort of theme bar experience. Cocktails, $15-$16. So not out of the realm of what you're going to pay in Vegas at a place like that. And like you said, the Arts District, it's walkable. There's so much to do in that area. And I think they're open 1 to 2 p.m., depending on the day, all the way till late in the night. So plenty of time to get out there.
Yeah, I think in pretty much any tiki bar you go to, the drinks are going to be $12 to $15, no matter if it's Vegas or not. So I don't think it's too bad. I mean, it might be the higher end of the Arts District, but I think it's worth it. Yeah, that theming is insane.
So a couple of shows ago, we talked about Fontainebleau's new craps table out by the pool, and we showed a picture of it. But this week in the Review Journal, Fontainebleau released another picture of their entire gaming area, the 4 blackjack tables and the craps table. And I just wanted to show a picture of this because this has to be the sexiest gaming area in all of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's the best place in Vegas to gamble, at least, from a picture. I haven't been there. The vibe could be different, all that stuff. If you can get it when it's not too hot out, it's like that perfect 75 to 80 in Vegas, October, April, early May type of time. I think it would be amazing to sit out there, have some drinks. Those tables look great. I wish they would have used this color scheme inside and been a little bit more vibrant and fun and a little less sterile. I think they knocked it out of the park here.
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't use this lighter blue a little bit more. Maybe they thought it would be overwhelming indoors. Here we are being, interior decorators with putting our armchair hats on. But this looks incredible. So inviting, so beachy and pooly, and I guess Miami, but it fits everything, that baby blue. Yeah, so 2 times we're talking about this outdoor pool area gambling, but yeah, they nailed the design.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go look at it when we do our pizza trail and we get a slice there. We're gonna have to go check it out.
Staying in downtown Las Vegas, or going back to downtown Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Art Museum is probably going to become a thing. The city of Las Vegas just agreed to sell 1.5 acres of land for $1 to the developers. This is a partnership between Elaine Wynn and the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, or LACMA. And it's very interesting because they're not going to have their own collection to start. They're going to basically be working with the LA Museum to have traveling exhibitions. Elaine Wynn's going to have some of her art on display there. It's going to cost $150 million to build and have 90,000 square feet of exhibition right downtown in Symphony Park. I think this is great. Las Vegas is the largest city without its own art museum. We used to have one and then it closed. And then for a while it was in a library on the west side of town. So not really a great culture of that here yet, but here we go. Very exciting. And it's not in a casino.
Yeah. And it's not a sports thing. I never realized there was not an art institute there or anything like that with the, the size of Las Vegas. That's kind of shocking to me. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I think it will be cool and it will be popular. And think about like just school tours and stuff like that. Like all these kids that go to school in Vegas and have never been to the art museum because it isn't really available to them. And now that will be a thing. So I like it.
And Symphony Park has quietly become one of the cooler areas to live. They're building new apartments and things in that area. You have the Smith Center right there, the Children's Museum right there, Symphony Park right there. You'll have this museum. It's easy enough to get across the railroad tracks to get into Fremont and all of that. So yeah, it's interesting to see this whole area grow up. I love the architecture of this building too. We only got one rendering of it, but it looks cool, neat. It's going to be noticeable and unique.
Yeah, I think it looks beautiful, and Elaine Wynn's not going to let anything come out that doesn't look great.
So our last story is an update on the Twin Towers coming just south of Fontainebleau. This is
Terrible
the old
name.
Riviera land. The Twin
Terrible.
Towers? I don't know.
Yes.
I just made it up. It's two towers that are twins.
Oh, I thought this was what they were going with. I was like, oh boy.
No, the two towers and the mall. And we got a rendering of this. It got approved with the county, so that's important for them. And just as a reminder, there's a lot of confusion here because Fontainebleau agreed to buy 5 acres of the site for like $112 million. I think they spent about a total of $125 million on the whole thing. But then the rendering has a domed stadium in the back or some sort of performing arts venue where the Fontainebleau land would sit. But then also, if you put the Fontainebleau, whatever they're going to build there, it's blocked by the towers from Fontainebleau proper. I'm very confused by all of this, but they put a 439-foot swing ride up there, so I'm all happy.
I don't understand. I'm so confused. Even with you trying to explain it, it made it more confusing to me. One, why did Fontainebleau pay all this money for the back lot? I still don't understand that. They paid for most of the whole thing and got the butt end of it. And then are they building this, part of it, this theater, or what's going on there? I don't know why they would. I don't know what they're going to use that land for. It's just a weird setup. I mean, the swing thing looks cool. It kind of reminds me of what we used to have on the Strat and stuff like that. So I like that, but I don't know. Is it going to be busy enough to make it worth it?
It's interesting that Fontainebleau isn't complaining about having an amusement ride right out their window, but
Yeah.
Maybe because they made this deal here. I think the concept would be without Fontainebleau buying the land. Remember, this land sale hasn't even completed yet. LVCVA still owns the land, so they're trying to get these approvals done for the sale to go through. So technically Fontainebleau hasn't done that. And when you read the language, they've agreed to it. So this is all very strange, but basically we're getting a big mall. You're going to get a condo tower. You're going to get a hotel tower and some other cool stuff in there, including the ride, potentially that bubble dome thing at the back if Fontainebleau doesn't do whatever they're going to do with it. And maybe even a pedestrian bridge. We see that happening, although they said they have to go back for approval if they're going to do that. But if they do build that pedestrian bridge, Fontainebleau connected to this, get another pedestrian bridge across the Resorts World, and now you're starting to see everything become more interconnected.
Yeah, but it is kind of funny, like they're doing a deal with a company that could steal, 700 rooms is not a small hotel. It could steal some from them, and if it's cheaper than Fontainebleau, you're right next to it. You could just walk over. You got the mall there and all that stuff. Like, how does this affect Fontainebleau, who is always rumored to be struggling to fill things? So it's kind of interesting how they're somewhat partnerships on this, but it's also working against Fontainebleau at the same time. I don't know.
They don't have to build anything until 2033, although they said they plan to do it much sooner, but haven't released any specific timeline. And remember, this is only part of that site because right next door between this site and the pepper mill is another piece of land that's owned by Siegel, and that's all the land. It has a small strip frontage and then all the land sort of behind the pepper mill. And they're supposed to build another mall or some sort of retail operation there that they've talked about. So potentially that whole strip frontage from pepper mill all the way to Fontainebleau filled in by this and the other project. And without adding huge casinos, I think this is an area of the strip that could use that. We are losing that, uniqueness that we used to have, I guess, where everything wasn't built out in that area. Now it's going to feel more like the South Strip where everything is right to the sidewalk and you don't have as much of a respite. But I guess that's just the modern Vegas.
Yeah, I think that'll be one of the takeaways is like you don't get it's kind of like it feels like you can breathe a little bit more when you walk around up there. But also like this is a lot of shopping. If we have 2 shopping malls, going in right near each other. Is there enough foot traffic? We don't see a ton of foot traffic down there. I know we've talked about how they need more restaurants and all that stuff. So I'm happy for that portion of it. Will that bring more people to the area and all those things? And this is just kind of the natural growth of an area. But we'll have to see, like, does it struggle for a bit because you don't have that same type of amount of people walking by and just kind of walking in and shopping and all that stuff. I mean, you have the strip mall down the street, not too far away. It's a lot of shopping. And then are they going to have signs, Sean? Are they going to have glow at night like they do everywhere else? We need to know.
They're going to have people screaming on top of that swing ride. It looks like a star flyer, which is a type of, they have 450 foot tall versions of these, so that's not anything new. This is exciting to see amusements coming back to the Las Vegas Strip, and in a project that's probably going to get built in some form. And I think this thing is going to print money. I really do. Just look at the New York roller coaster. Doesn't take up a huge footprint. It's fairly cheap to operate. And even if they charge $10 a ride, the views are going to be unique.
10?
You're open air.
Come on.
Well, I don't know.
Like
Dream.
30.
We'll see. But I remember the one over at Area 15, the little observation deck. That's not a thrill ride, but even that, the perspective you get of the Strip is super neat.
Yeah,
and I think,
really cool.
Being in the swim ride with the thrill element, being 400 feet above the Strip, but getting those views, I think this is a really smart investment.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. I think, it'll give something to go to that end of the Strip too. It will draw people in. I just wonder, is there enough, with what they're going to build? If both people build what they say they're going to build, we'll have to see how it all plays out. And I'm still curious to see what Fontainebleau does with this land. It seems like they got the worst deal in the history of deals, so it better be amazing.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today, this development, the amusement ride, the sportsbook revolution, pulling the bone out of your taco, everything else we discussed. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
For $60, you should get to take the bone home to your dog or something. I don't know. Have a good weekend, everybody.